Good Monday, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading for October the 23rd. Today, we are reading together in First Chronicles chapter 28, which is going to be David commissioning Solomon for the building of the temple. So let me get that text up on the screen, and we will read along together here in First Chronicles chapter 28, verse number 1. First Chronicles 28, verse number 1, David assembled all the leaders of Israel in Jerusalem, the leaders of the tribes, the leaders of the divisions of the king's service, the commanders of thousands and the commanders of hundreds, and the officials in charge of all the property and cattle of the king and his sons, along with all the court officials, the fighting men, and all the best soldiers. Then King David rose to his feet and said, "Listen to me, my brothers and my people. It was in my heart to build a house as a resting place for the ark of Yahweh's covenant and as a footstool for our God. I had made preparations to build, but God said to me, 'You are not to build a house for my name, because you are a man of war and have shed blood. Yet Yahweh, God of Israel, chose me out of all my father's family to be king over Israel forever. For he chose Judah as leader, and from the house of Judah, my father's family, and from my father's sons, he was pleased to make me king over all Israel. And out of all my sons, for Yahweh has given me many sons, he has chosen my son Solomon to sit on the throne of Yahweh's kingdom over Israel. He said to me, 'Your son Solomon is the one who is to build my house and my courts, for I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. I will establish his kingdom forever if he perseveres in keeping my commands and my ordinances as he is doing today.' So now, in the sight of all Israel, the assembly of Yahweh, and in the hearing of our God, observe and follow all the commands of Yahweh your God, so that you may possess this good land and leave it as an inheritance to your descendants forever. As for you, Solomon, my son, know the God of your father, and serve him wholeheartedly and with a willing mind. For Yahweh searches every heart and understands the intention of every thought. If you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you abandon him, he will reject you forever. Realize now that Yahweh has chosen you to build a house for the sanctuary. Be strong and do it." Then David said to his son Solomon, then David gave his son Solomon the plans for the portico of the temple and its buildings, treasuries, upstairs rooms, inner rooms, and a room for the mercy seat. The plans contain everything he had in mind for the courts of Yahweh's house and all the surrounding chambers, the treasuries of God's house, and the treasuries for what is dedicated. Also included were plans for the divisions of the priests and the Levites, for the work of service in Yahweh's house, all the articles of service of Yahweh's house, the weight of gold for all the articles for every kind of service, the weight of all the silver articles for every kind of service, the weight of the gold lampstands and their gold lamps, including the weight of each lampstand and its lamps, the weight of each silver lampstand and its lamps, according to the service of each lampstand, the weight of gold for each table, for the rows, the bread of the presence, and the silver for the silver tables, the pure gold for the forks, sprinkling basins and pitchers, the weight of each gold dish, the weight of each silver bowl, the weight of refined gold for the altar of incense, and the plans for the chariots, the gold cherubim that spread out their wings and covered the ark of Yahweh's covenant. David concluded, "By Yahweh's hand on me, he enabled me to understand everything in writing, all the details of the plan." Then David said to his son Solomon, "Be strong and courageous, and do the work. Don't be afraid or discouraged, for Yahweh, God, my God, is with you. He won't leave you or abandon you until all the work of the service of Yahweh's house is finished. Here are the divisions of the priest and the Levites for all the service of God's house. Every willing person of any skill will be at your disposal for the work, and the leaders and all the people are at your every command." And that is First Chronicles chapter 28. First Chronicles chapter 28. We remember just kind of connecting this chapter with what we've seen in the previous chapters, going back to, I believe it is chapter 22, where David desired to be the one to make the 21. Hold on, let's see here. I'm getting mixed up. 2020. No, it is 22. 22. David is the one who is wanting to build the temple for Yahweh, but he recognizes that it is not his duty to do so, that it is going to be the duty of his son to be the one who is going to actually build the temple for Yahweh. Actually, we're going back to chapter 17 for that. So David's told in chapter 17, that he will not be the one to build the temple, but that doesn't stop him from still participating in the future building of the temple in chapter 22 by making many preparations for temple service, for the building of the temple, and then the service that will take place in the temple following that, which is why he goes through and talks about all the various Levites and their positions, the roles that they're going to play, whether being priest or not being priest. It mentions in chapter 27 the secular officials that are going to do the work that's going to allow these other individuals to do their work. So all this is coming together to fit nicely to prepare for the building after David has passed on. And he recognizes in chapter 28 that though it was in his heart to build a house for Yahweh, Yahweh had other plans. He said, "You are not to build a house for my name, because you are a man of war and have shed blood." Yet it was Yahweh who originally chose me. He chose the tribe of Judah. From Judah, he chose my father's family. From my father's sons, he chose me. And then from me, he has chosen Solomon. He has chosen Solomon. He will be the one to prepare for the building of this temple and to have it carried out. So Yahweh's promise is that he would establish this kingdom forever, but it is based upon the condition that if he perseveres in keeping my commands and my ordinances as he is doing today. Having read First Kings or First and Second Kings, or I guess Samuel and Kings, the time of the United Kingdom, we know that unfortunately that did not continue, that Solomon did not follow in the footsteps of his father, that he allowed for his wives to carry his heart away to other gods. And for that, Yahweh was not pleased. Therefore, at the time of his son, there comes up the other king in the northern portion of Israel, and the kingdom was split. So you end up having, instead of one king, you have Jeroboam and Rehoboam being the kings of a split Israel. So just looking forward, unfortunately, we don't see this coming to fruition. But this time, of course, that's not in David's mind space at all. He's not thinking that way. He is only thinking about success for Yahweh, for Yahweh's people, and for his son, who is going to be leading his people. Which is why he speaks now in the sight of all of Israel and inside of all this assembly to charge his son, to really impress upon him the importance of making sure he does what is right in this moment toward this purpose. So as for you, Solomon, my son, know the God of your father. Know him, but don't just know him, serve him. Serve him, and serve him wholeheartedly and with a willing mind. Because Yahweh searches every heart and understands the intention of every thought. And here's David's promise that if you seek him, he will be found by you. But if you abandon him, he will reject you forever. All of this is really just a restating of Deuteronomy in many ways. The same message that Moses gave to the people at that time, that they needed to maintain covenant loyalty in order to experience God's great covenant blessings. That same thing is here. If you will be loyal to God's covenant, if you will seek him, then you'll be found by him and you'll be blessed by him. But if you abandon him, if you do not seek him, if you go after your own way, if your heart leads you somewhere else, then he too will abandon you, and you will not enjoy tremendous blessings. So really, the gauntlet has been thrown down before Solomon. The ball is in his courts. What will he do? So David at this point gives him all the plans for the portico, everything that's described in verses 11 through 18. And he basically passes it on. He passes it down to Solomon. David concluded, by Yahweh's hand on me, he enabled me to everything in writing, all the details of this plan. And he basically turns to Solomon and says, hey, now it's your turn. God allowed me to put these things together. Now I'm going to pass them on to you. And it's up to you to complete this plan. Be strong and courageous. Again, I'm getting so many vibes from from Deuteronomy and even Joshua with this. Remember Joshua telling the people, be strong and courageous as you go in to take the land. Same thing is true here for Solomon. Solomon, be strong and courageous in what you're doing. Do the work. Don't be afraid. Don't be discouraged. Because here's why. Not because you're so smart, not because necessarily these plans are so great, but because Yahweh is the one who is with you. Yahweh will strengthen you. Yahweh will guide you. He will enable you to do this good work. He won't leave you or abandon you until all the work of the service of Yahweh's house is finished. He's going to see this through. He's going to see this through to completion. And know as well that you are being enabled, again, to do all this work, and that you need to do this work well. You've been given everything you need to be successful. Solomon, take this, run with it, do this good work, bring honor to Yahweh, bring honor to Israel. And David certainly thinking, fulfill this great desire that I have for our God. So that's chapter 28 here, as David commissions Solomon to do this work. And tomorrow, as we conclude our read through First Chronicles, we will see some more contributions that were given by the people for the building of the temple. Solomon is going to be crowned as king, and then we have a short summary about David's life at the end of the text. If you have any questions or comments about here in First Chronicles 28, maybe you have some connections to other places in Scripture that we've seen so far. Again, for me, Deuteronomy comes to mind here. The scenes in Joshua come to mind as well. If you have anything else that you would like to add, please feel free to leave that in the comments section below. I appreciate you taking some time reading along with me today. Hope that you have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow, reading together from First Chronicles 29, finishing out this text and mark another one off our list. Again, thanks for tuning in. Hope to see you tomorrow. Take care, and God bless.